show is about to start. Reese on the radio. Turn it up. Turn it up low. Turn it up loud.
It's like a dream come true.
Turn on your radio. Reese is on the radio.
Yo, let's get it.
Due to the nature of this program, discretion does not exist. It's Reese on the radio. Right now on WTIC News Talk 1080.
My voice is turning into god-awful hell. What's going on, you scallywags, nutmeggers, conversationalists, and oh, goodness, you haters. You're probably really excited that my voice is like this. It's Reese on the radio right here live on WTIC News Talk 1080. I am suffering through it. It's the worst part of this cold that I have. And I like my voice like this. I don't know about you. I can't strain it all that much, but I like it when it's down and dirty and deep. I love my voice when it's like this. It's my Anchorman voice. Anyway, it's a pleasure to be here. And nothing would stop me from coming in no matter what the weather's like. I understand it's cold in flu season. And if I may, to quote one of my favorite bands today, Wild Horses couldn't drag me away. I'm got to be here no matter what. And be happy that I didn't sing, because that would sound atrocious with this voice. Anyway, I'm going to get through it. You're going to get through it. We got plenty of stuff to get into today. You know, we could usually go through the whole nonsense of this news story and that news story, but I got so many other things to talk about. And I hope that you will join me in the conversation today, because I kind of want to have a conversation with all of you. Because there's so many things that we're missing in all of what's happening today. As many people are focusing on Minneapolis or Minnesota altogether. There are a lot of things that we have to really recognize about the state of our country as it pertains to politics, political sides, and our state as Americans. And I've got a couple of questions to ask. We'll get into those. But as you may know, we have breaking news. Now, I don't know how this is going to affect the conversation, but Alex Pretti, unfortunately, he was a rabble-rouser. And I'm being delicate because, again, I don't want it to be ever misconstrued by the left asking the ridiculous question, what are you saying, Reese? I will tell you what I'm saying, but you're going to have to do your part and listen to what I'm saying. Those who wish to martyr Alex Pretti told you and everybody else who he was, and what we realize today is none of you knew a thing. The only thing you knew, that you knew for certain, is that he was shot and he died. That's it. It turns out you knew nothing about this man, which is why you were prompted to paint a pretty picture of him. Now, I say to myself, why do people do that? You know the truth is eventually going to come out because there are agents in all of this. The news media is not the news media anymore. They're not even the fact checkers anymore. They are the agenda-driven dividers of our society. That's who they are. And in doing that, and I'm saying this, so if you're listening to me, I'm saying this is happening on both sides. One person is trying to build a narrative while the other one is trying to break it. You just have to decide on which one that is. Now, when one side is way over its skis, doing anything and everything to jump out a window to paint a picture of Alex Pretti for you, you as an observer should stop and go, well, wait a minute. It's only been a week, or it's only been 3 days, or it's only been 4 days. It's only been an hour. Why are there so many people painting such a adoring picture of this man, calling him innocent, saying that he was unprovoked? Oh, he was. Why is that happening? I pay very close attention to that. By the way, in the event that there are many of you on the left who do not know this, please listen. I say this to you online, and there's proof of it. I am not invested in news. That I'm no investment in news. It is not an emotional thing for me. I don't see a story and then find a way to be aggrieved. Did you see that? Did you? No. I am an objective observer of news, but my personal feelings are conservative. See? And I can separate the two when I pay attention to the news media. I'm very, very vocal on pointing it out on both sides, although it is rarely an abundance on the right. Not that it isn't there. You may call that a reason to say, well, it is both sides then. Nah, not really. Because no one should be trying to push an agenda. It should only be, as I said to you, reporting the who, what, when, and where. Never telling you why until they know. When we hear Fox News say, we report, you decide, I tell them all the time, stop using the second line. It isn't about deciding. That's a premise. We report, you decide. What? You're suggesting to us that we're not to trust you. Or you are trying to prove to us that you are trustworthy. You can do that alone in just reporting the facts. But because news is entertainment, and we bring on pundits of either side to hash it out on the air, and we call that the news, that people have to say on their program, you report. We report, you decide. That's why that has to be injected into their tagline. Now, back to my point. Alex Pretti was a rabble-rouser. He didn't care whom ICE was pursuing. A week before he died, he had an altercation with ICE agents that led to 5 officers having to pin him down. It resulted in a broken rib. We know that to be true. A week before he died, he suffered a broken rib. We do know that Alex Pretti is an ICU nurse. Yes? Yes. So the question, and again, this is about thinking, not telling you what to think, thinking. When a boxer gets a broken rib, does a boxer get into another fight until before or after the rib is healed? Alex Pretti joined the fight a week later after having a broken rib and partook in the same activity that got him the broken rib in the first place. That doesn't strike you as odd? It does me. It strikes me as very weird. An ICU nurse, a man who understands the human body, who has helped people heal, who has healed people through medicine. I'm sure that he went through a hell of a lot of schooling for that, and I'm sure he's probably dealt with a broken rib or two from a patient, and he has had to advise said individual with the broken rib, hey, I know you love soccer, but you're not going to be in the big game this week. You're going to need some time to heal. But no, not Alex. Alex was right back in the fight a week later. And he was doing what he had done a week earlier, tussled with federal agents. The federal agents did him a solid. But the way I see it, they didn't. They didn't arrest him when he interfered with a lawful pursuit of illegals in Minnesota. They should have arrested him. They should have put him in a tank. They should have made him think about what he was doing, charged him seriously, or at least enough to give him an opportunity to think about it. No, they let him go. And in doing so, it gave Pretti license to think he could do it again. That is irrefutable, folks, because Alex Pretti is dead. And how did he die? Doing the thing that caused him to get a broken rib a week earlier. That is a fact. You know it, and I know it. He did not deserve to die. For those of you who are trying to figure out, how do I respond to Reese? No, he did not deserve to die. But it's like a skydiver. It's like a mountain climber. If you partake in dangerous acts and something goes wrong, who is it the fault of? In this case, what Alex Pretti was engaged in was illegal. He was impeding federal agents in the midst of their duties. You can spin it that he had a right to be there. He did. But he did not have a right to get involved in a police action. He didn't. And he had been given, I guess he gave himself, license to do it again. You're not going to deter me with a broken rib. You're not going to deter me, federal agents, or maybe Alex was calling them Nazis or Gestapo or whatever. Apparently, he felt strongly enough about these ICE agents that even after 5 of them pinned him to the ground and broke his rib, that he thought to go out there again. And here's the thing, folks. Alex is a smart man, isn't he? He must be. He's on the right side of this issue, right? He's on the right side of evil, right? He's trying to fight the Gestapo, right? He's a noble. He's a martyr, isn't he? He understood. He understood the rules of engagement, and he violated them twice. He was supposed to be down there to observe and to photograph, to make sure that the agents were not violating people's rights. What was he doing? He was in the fray. He was in a tussle. He engaged with officers. Imagine, folks, imagine any one of you. You're standing outside, and your brother runs by running from cops. Your cousin, your sister, you see them dash by. Would you, think about it, would you jump in front of police officers to slow them down? Would you blow whistles to get other people involved to surround the police? We're talking about the police here, not ICE. The police. Would you do it? Have you ever done it? Have you ever stopped the police from arresting or giving chase to a suspect? No, you haven't. And you wouldn't. You know you wouldn't. And Alex Pretti has no history of ever doing that either. Forget about ICE agents coming to get an illegal. Aren't there police officers who chase after illegals as well? Who commit crimes? Assaults, gang robberies, gang assaults? Don't they give physical chase to them? Where are all of you in Danbury assisting illegals who are being chased down by local law enforcement? I don't see any of you. In fact, I've never seen any of you. Again, Alex did not deserve to die. No one does, unless they put themselves in harm's way. When you do, you are fully responsible for that. Whether you folks like it or not, as we learn more and more, Renee Good and Alex Pretti walked that line. I tell people all the time, it's like the dangers that you embark on. Treat them like a tightrope over the Grand Canyon. You can do it, and you can very well make it out on the other side. But please recognize it's a long way down, and you may not recover. In fact, more than likely you won't. Alex Pretti walked that line twice. Twice. And that means that he knew what he was doing, and he chose to do what he was doing. This is not about ICE. This is about Alex Pretti. You don't have to like that reality. In fact, no one cares if you do. Because the facts don't give a damn about how you feel about his death. They mean nothing to me, and at the end of the day, they do nothing for Alex Pretti. So you have to wallow in them. So, grab a Snuggie, a cup of tea, and get used to it. Because this story is over. Just telling you like it is. We'll take a break. More news, more views when we return. It's Reese on the Radio.
Fan of WTIC? Then do us a favor. Download the free Odyssey app and favorite WTIC.
Yeah, it's always important that you download the show. You go online, WTIC.com. If you can't go there, go to ReeseOnTheRadio.com. But it's always important to download the show. If you miss it, never miss a moment. We're trying to build ourselves up here, that we are a good show, a show that you like. By the way, I just want to tell all the people who showed up at Between Rounds, let me tell you something. This is important. All of you who showed up at Between Rounds, I'm going to give you a round of applause. Let me give it to you first. Now, let me tell you why. Boy, you guys surprised a lot of people in this building. You sure did. In a very, very good way. I don't give it to me. I give it to you. Like I said, the show is nothing without you. But boy, you surprised a lot of people here. When we went down to that Between Rounds on Vernon and Hartford Turnpike. So I thank you. You have no idea. You guys showed up for me. This is the reason why I show up for you. No matter what my condition, when I'm sick, I'm over here all raspy voice. I'm sounding like Brenda Vaccaro. I'm all raspy. Kathleen Turner. Anyway, I'm just telling you, I love you guys. By the way, I love AC Peterson's. You know I love going there. I haven't been there in a while. I hope Layla hasn't left yet for school. She may have already. But I haven't been down there in a while because it's been so cold, and we usually go for ice cream. We have, an apple pie and ice cream, so it's been, we don't really go down there as much, but it's been a while. But somebody just sent me a picture that says that Willie Tong was down there. And now I'm like, oh, please don't tell me that Willie Tong was down there. And now I see that he's down there. I don't feel so bad. You want to know why? Because the picture that was posted of Willie Tong down at AC Peterson, I got the greatest joy in the world. And if I may say this, Willie, help me out, brother. The only time a man should eat a foot long is at the ballpark. Never, ever be seen eating a foot long. I'm just saying, bro. It's bro code. It's bro code. You got to be at a baseball game, just so you know. And now I have the photo, and I couldn't be happier. Okay? AC, you guys saved yourself on that one. I love you guys over there anyway. I was going to talk about this in the opening monologue, but the Pretti news came out, and I wanted to cover that. I didn't want to miss it, and I didn't want to wait till later to address it. Talk about it a little bit more in the program as more and more people join the show, because a lot of you are still at work. But a little bit of what I said in the opening monologue had everything to do with what I was originally going to say before the Alex Pretti news came. And that is, folks, we're going to have to understand that the news may not be able to tell you the truth. It just may not be able to. And there is something we need to accept in all of this. There used to be a reliance on the news. And I get it. I grew up with it. It helped us be informed. We could have conversations by the water cooler, but nobody does that anymore. Get back to work. And at social events, we could have conversations about things that are going on in the news or in and around the country. Hey, did you see that story about the hijacking? Hey, did you see that story about the actress who did such and such? All of that stuff, that's what it was for. So we can have engaging conversations about things. And now it's unfortunate that we cannot trust that kind of news. Our older folks who listen to this medium and listen to the nightly news, David Muir or what's that other guy? Lester Holt is not there anymore, so I know they got this new guy. The Hispanic guy, right? Yeah, I don't know what his name is. I don't care. I don't watch them anyway. But older folks get their news from there, and they feel very informed because they trust those guys. I grew up like that. Peter Jennings, Tom Brokaw. Dan Rather was never my thing. Never, ever. I knew that guy was scum from the minute I ever saw his face, especially after he got that beat down on West 57th Street. What's the frequency, Kenneth? I was over. It was over for me. Anyway, I digress. So I was always very, very enamored with those guys at the news desk, delivering the news nightly. It was important. You felt like they were making you smarter, and you could engage in conversations at a dinner party or even just a social event. And then things they went south. And they just did. I kind of blame it on Dan Rather. I do. I still do. And when that veil was pulled off, that 60 Minutes 2 reporting of George W. Bush's National Guard service, that changed everything. And it was the height of the internet age where we knew that the stuff that we were being told on the nightly news we couldn't trust anymore. Because we found out that they're not allowed to tell the news. They're not allowed to tell the truth. Because there are too many interests at stake. There just always have been. As the desperation to stay in business means you have to go to bed with some of the most reprehensible people. And you're always kind of looking over your shoulder. Can I talk about this? Oh, no, they're a sponsor. Oh, can I talk about that? Oh, they are part owners of the company. That becomes the bedfellow. That's how that happens. And then it becomes a point where we just can't give you the thing that you come to us for. But I got to be straight with you. I'm going to be 100% honest with you when it comes to me. I can't do it. I can't. And there's a reason why. I know what it's like to be lied about. And I know what it's like to be affected by lies. And I know what it's like for people to believe them and be shaped by them. I understand how critical things can become if a lie has weight and takes up space. And I don't care about the relationships. As I told you before, they mean nothing to me. Because when the chips go down, ladies and gentlemen, those people who have held you from doing the thing that you were hired to do or you were made to do are never there when the trouble starts, when people start, what happens is you find out that the only person holding up their end of the bargain is you. And that's what you have to recognize about the news, is that the only person holding up the bargain is you. They lied to you, you accept it as truth. And then when the lie is exposed, you are left holding the bag. There is no accountability for the person who set you up. There is no one there to bail you out when your credibility is shot, when your relationships are dead. No one is there. So that's the reason why you have to accept that maybe people cannot tell you the truth. It isn't in their best interest in a world where people must survive. Which is why I said in the beginning of this, I appreciate you. And my relationship with you as a person who does this show is important. It's important enough for me to actually go and do the things that you cannot rely on others to do. Get to the bottom of the story. Kind of put your neck out there and maybe tick off a few people. Because the bottom line is that if nobody is held to account, then you are just as guilty. If you're not here to bring in the checks and balances, what are you here for? If you're here to toe the line, what are you here for? Your job must be serve the people. That's just always going to be my job. So don't get angry about the news. Accept that. That's the way it is. Accept the fact that you're probably not going to be able to get the truth. Not from there. And then you're going to have to decide where the truth lies. And you're going to have to hold them to account. I look at it this way, and I'm going to be as absolutely as fundamental to your personal life as I could be. Imagine your spouse. And every time you turn around, your spouse is lying to you. Not just about having an affair, but is lying to you about finances, lying to you about where they go, lying to you about drinking or drugging or whatever the case may be. Gambling, vices, whatever the case may be, smoking, constantly lying to you. And then when you realize that all of those lies have existed, you find out everything there is, you have to ask yourself, can I ever trust that person again? Do you have to verify every word that comes out of that individual's mouth? And the answer is yes. And then you have to decide if that is a world that you wish to live in. Forever. Keep waiting for them to tell you the truth. Be honest about everything. Come forward with things. Make sure that you always are secure in knowing that the information that you are getting is honest and reputable. That you can go to bed at night, or you can go to your civil meeting, civil party, whatever the case may be, and you can say, my husband or my wife, they're a good person. They're always telling me the truth. And you know that if they're not, there are people who are sitting around going, yeah, if she only knew. Yeah, if he only knew. You wouldn't live in a relationship like that, right? Or you could just be angry with it. You could just constantly beat down that spouse, keep yelling, you're always lying to me, you're always lying to me. Well, if you can't live with the lies, what do you have to do? You have to leave, right? You have to leave that relationship. If you have a friend who does that to you, let's not go so as deep as like a marriage or a relationship like that. What if it's a friend? What if the friend just keeps lying to you? Can you trust that friend? No, you can't even be seen around them. I can't believe a word that comes out of your mouth. Would you continue Would you sit around and moan about how dishonest that person is all the time? No. You would end that relationship. A smart person would. So why is it so difficult for you to do that when it comes to the news that you're fed? Just accept that they lie and move on. And stop going back. When your spouse cheats on you, how many times do you have to go back till you realize they're going to keep cheating? I should know. My ex-wives will tell you. They've been back a few times. But anyway, I digress. It's not about me. We'll take a break. We'll come back. More news, more views. It's Reese on the Radio.
It's Reese on the Radio on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
I'm going to do another monologue at the 3 o'clock hour. Let me take a time to take a phone call. Ryan is on the line in Coventry. Hello, Ryan.
Hey, Reese. What's going on?
Pretty good, sir. What's up?
I just wanted to talk about that Alex Pretti situation.
Yes.
Real quick, if I could.
Sure, of course. What do you got?
The Renee thing I thought was pretty straightforward. I think this one, what people are kind of leaving out here is, the excessive use of force by the police is what people see in this one. And I'd probably agree to that, too.
You think you think that in this altercation that the officers were excessive?
No, I'm more of the mindset, let the investigation play out. Okay. Get all the facts on the table. But, yeah, I'd say with what we can see right now, absolutely.
Well, so let me challenge that a little bit instead of saying something like, wow, I think you're wrong here. I'm just going to challenge it if I could.
Oh, of course.
In this regard. So I'm looking at this on the ground that Alex Pretti may have very well been known to the officers who were in the area, be known as this rabble-rouser. What we can confirm, or at least it looks like, is that when Pretti gets into the first altercation a week before he dies, he's held down by 5 police officers. And you know what's the one thing that isn't in the story? By the way, he was let go. Do you know what wasn't a part of the story when it comes to Alex Pretti? He didn't have a gun on him because they did detain him and they let him go. And you could damn well bet if federal officers had to stop him as he was intruding, they patted him down and found no weapon. The second time Pretti is engaging in law enforcement, this time he has a gun. So I would just challenge you by asking this question. Why?
Well, see, but the thing is with all of
that...
Oh,
and no ID. I'm sorry. I forgot this. And no ID or permit on him.
Right. All things that we won't ever know the answer to now. However, all those things that you just said, I don't think are really relevant to the situation that played out that morning. Mm-hmm. Just because even though he's known to the ICE officers and he's on the list, whatever. I'm not excusing his behavior.
Okay. No, and that's fair. No, I thank you for pointing that out because I didn't want anybody to get the impression that you were. So thank you for clarifying that.
Right. But at the same time, I guarantee when they were rolling down the street and they, encountered him and everything, they didn't know that's who he was, that he was on the list or anything like that. Second of all, we do have the Second Amendment. It's not that he's not allowed to have his gun. Yes, he didn't have his ID and all that.
Right.
It's still, I think what people are still leaving out is that I would consider that definitely an excessive use of force. They shoved that woman to the ground.
Right.
He had his back to them. They tackle him to the ground. And it does look like they disarmed him before they even shot him.
Is there a likelihood? Is there a likelihood here, Ryan, that we are looking at what a phrase that I've coined, a perfect storm of calamity? And what I mean by that, I said this also in the case of Trayvon Martin. I also said this in the case of Amadou Diallo, that there were so many other parts or moving parts in a situation, you get the worst possible outcome. With Trayvon Martin, you got a guy who's driving through a neighborhood that has already got an onslaught of house robberies by young black kids, runs into Trayvon Martin, an innocent black kid. perfect storm, right? Because again, two people who are obviously strangers to each other interact during a very, very heated social issue in the area. So it's a perfect storm of two individuals getting there. Amadou Diallo. Police officers are in the area worried about the same thing. Break-ins. Amadou Diallo's in a dark place, pulls out a wallet. One of the officers fires a gun. They think they're fired upon. He gets shot 51 times. All of these things play a role. Do you think there's a possibility of that?
Oh, 100%. There absolutely is. But the law has to hold themselves to that higher standard.
100% agree.
It does not look good that, ICE is down to, I think it's like an 8-week training academy now for themselves. They've reduced that. And
we can't attribute that to the officers in this case. We do not know the length of the training of these particular officers. So we can talk about all of ICE and then, because all of ICE, I might agree with you that 47 days isn't enough time. Clearly they need more training than that. That's clearly, it's too short of a time. On the other end, I think we need to know if these particular officers involved with the Alex Pretti shooting were in fact one of those officers that only got 47 days.
No, that's very fair. Yeah. And I actually think President Trump took a very measured response to this. What President Trump, his response to this whole thing is what I would expect most politicians to respond with. Unlike, Chris Murphy or Ned Lamont or Tim Walz.
I've got Ned Lamont. Ned Lamont's audio coming up in a little bit.
No, it's just
not Ned Lamont. I apologize. Wrong person. Richard Blumenthal. I've got his audio coming up. Sorry about that.
Yeah, and of course, it's just another guy. They always ignore the things that happen in our state. Luke Bronin did this whole thing on Newsmax the other day, and he just looks kind of like a clown, in my opinion, just because, when you were running Hartford, there's the ACLU came out against you for not releasing body cam footage. We have the J. Allen Jones thing in Connecticut where they don't want to release the information.
I got to go to a hard break, but thank you, Ryan. I appreciate you, buddy.
Hey, take care, man.
You got it, man.
Reese on the radio, making sense of the news. Yeah, even when it makes no sense at all. Now on WTIC, News Talk 1080.
I thought about this when I saw something, I think yesterday. It was over the weekend with the whole Signal chat thing. James O'Keefe also at 1:00 today had a video out because he had undercover agents inside the protest in Minnesota. And I was noticing something that he said, and I was also seeing elsewhere. And that is a lot of people there are just joining the fray. Hangers on, Klingons, if you will. They are just joining in because they see something happening they think is organic. So they suited up and got out there and think, it's on the news. I'm going to be a part of it as well. And that's the whole idea. So it's AstroTurf that influences others to get out there and think that they're a part of something big, a part of some revolution. Idiots, all of them. But they think they're a part of something. James O'Keefe talked about that today on his live event, as well as other people who have been on it. But that being said, it is important to address the people who are there who have millions of dollars, folks, tens of millions of dollars to organize these events, to organize this outrage and the attacks. Hotels, federal buildings, officers. There are people who are being paid to do this. The Signal chat and the Signal controversy, as people are calling it, Signalgate, tells us a lot about who is funding it. Bill O'Reilly was on News Nation the other day screaming at Leland Vittert about how there is a guy who's living all the way in China. I'm not promoting that guy's name, but he's all the way in China. He's a billionaire, and he's sending all of this money into these groups. Millions and millions of dollars. In another country to do what? To disrupt the government of another nation. And the people he's funding are attacking federal agents and private property and federal buildings and the news media, which leads me to ask one simple question. Can anybody name one time when Christopher Wray, when Alexander, or what was his name, Alejandro Mayorkas, when Joe Biden, when Kamala Harris, Nancy Pelosi, MSNBC, CNN, ABC, NBC, or CBS, or even Headline News. Do you remember any one of those folks talking about the foreign financial influence of January 6th? We heard everything about sedition. We heard everything about insurrection. But never once in all of the investigation from the ABC News president-produced production of the January 6th tribunals, never once during any of those hearings did we hear foreign injection of money. Never. So I've got one question to ask. If you are part of an organization that has words like communist or socialist in your name, and you collect money from billionaires overseas, are you not a mercenary traitor? Yes or no? Because I think that is exactly what these people are. Remember, they're not out there unfunded. No one even accused the Proud Boys. No one accused the Oath Keepers. No one accused any of them of having foreign influence into their. Why? Because those guys are America First, flag-waving patriots who hate liberals and love Trump. MAGA folks. Never once was there an investigation into their foreign association. Donald Trump got the Russia treatment, but I didn't hear Enrico Torres ever being called a traitor, a mercenary traitor, getting funded from foreign agents. Never once. Did you, right? I mean, we're talking about a bunch of people who compared January 6th to 9/11 and Pearl Harbor. Both of those terrorist attacks were funded by foreigners, weren't they? Yes. But not one person was ever associated with a foreign benefactor. And here we are looking at Portland, Oregon, Arizona, Washington, D.C. In fact, it doesn't matter where you go. The summer of love in 2020. We found out, hey, what about the No Kings protest all across the country? How about the attack on American businesses like Tesla by organizations that receive money from foreign oppositions to our country? I would consider China a geopolitical threat to our country. And if that money is allowed to come all the way here to the United States, to go into the pockets of rabble-rousers here in the States who then go out and attack businesses, attack law enforcement, and to, I would say, inject fear into a community. No one even thought about that being called sedition or traitorous or nothing, not one word? Isn't it? That's exactly what this is. I mean, I know I am not losing my mind here. Because if you're telling me that the Capitol building is the only place in the world where you're not allowed to go in and have a riot without it being called the worst terrorist attack since 9/11, but yet to have city after city, state after state burning to the ground over a drug addict while it's being fueled by foreigners, out of the country foreigners. And it's not like we don't know. We do know. It's not a secret. We all know. We know exactly where the money's coming from. It's literally a paper trail. And I haven't heard one person bring it up. Not one. It's not even a major story. Your cities are burning to the ground. News media, of course they're not talking about it. Of course they wouldn't bring it up. News media is scared to death to talk about it, to bring attention to it. In some ways, you feel like they're siding with them. Well, unfortunately, that's because we know that they have. Let's take another example. Let's go way before January 6th. Let's go to Occupy Wall Street. You guys may have forgotten, but I didn't. I was down at Occupy Wall Street in downtown Manhattan in 2012. I talked to everyone who would talk to me. I talked to the organizers there. I know exactly who they were financed by. Foreign and domestic billionaires. Who do you think was buying them laptops or supplying them with food and water? Well, it wasn't just billionaires, folks. Oh, man, it was worse than that. It was also the news media. We found out that the news media was coordinating to give Occupy Wall Street a platform to raise their profile. Same thing was happening with Facebook as it pertains to Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter had 67% disapproval in the African American community. Why? Because black lives didn't matter in the hood, and black folks knew it. Facebook needed to put a friendlier face on it, so internals revealed that they propped Black Lives Matter up, put them in everybody's feed favorably. It was the biggest AstroTurf campaign ever. And what did that organization do? It fleeced millions of people out of millions of dollars. And no one's been held accountable. And sure enough, foreign entities, foreign individuals and organizations poured money into a group that went out and burned down cities in the United States. We don't hear anybody saying anything, right? How are they not mercenary traitors? That's the definition. It's the core definition of a mercenary traitor, taking money to disrupt your government. And they openly admit that's what they're doing. They talk and scream and holler about a democracy, don't they? For the people, by the people. The people elected this administration to do what they're doing, and instead of just accepting it, right? The rule of law. The law is the law. The law of the land, they say. They lose an election, and what do? Instead of just going out and protest, they actually take money from foreign folks to then go exactly against the thing that they claim that they're here to protect. And by the way, I don't hear Chris Murphy talking about any of this sedition and talking about how it's a threat to our democracy, because technically, isn't it? If our politics can be influenced by foreigners, and that's who all of them said happened in 2016. That's what all of them said in 2016, that our elections and that our way of life is being attacked by foreign actors. And now all of a sudden they've got no words? Now, you people on the left, and I know that you listen to the show, and don't get me wrong, I appreciate you being here. I am slowly but surely making you recognize the error in your ways. You can stay a liberal. You can stay a Democrat. No one ever will challenge your ideology. However, I will challenge your support of what you know is wrong. It isn't about pointing out the hypocrisy of it. You know it's wrong. I know you know it's wrong. I know you know it cannot stand. But the only way it's going to change is the same way you think it's going to change for us. We have to stand up, right? You keep telling us all the time, when are you guys going to push back on Donald Trump? You just agree with everything that he says. Well, touche. This is what your party is standing for. Look at them. Right here in Connecticut. Chris Murphy, Richard Blumenthal. Huh? Everybody. Ned Lamont. All of them. They know what's happening. They know what's happening right here. These organizations are well funded, and every one of them know who they're funded by. That's right, Lori. I thought no one was above the law. But we're going to have to start telling the truth about this. And I don't know. I'm just not going to, I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat it. But when January 6th is the template that these people, like that's the criteria that we're always being held to. What about January 6th and January 6th and January 6th? Again, if indeed people believe that that was organic, if people believe that those folks were set upon, set upon that building to undercut an election, if that's what you believe they are, fine. You want to make that argument? Good. Charge the people with them. You kept people in jail for years before they ever saw a jury. You got your pound of flesh. But again, you've never once accused them of taking money from foreign actors. These people are. You know they are. It is everywhere you look. It'd be something crazy if you could just say, you know, that Crowds on Demand organization, those people are funny. You know, they get paid by these groups, and you know who they are. You know, they get paid from the Ford Foundation, George Soros, Alex Soros, whomever it may be. Yes, those people will. Don't pay them. But again, if you know it's coming from China, you got to ask yourself, dude, you taking Chinese money? Dude, you taking Russian money? Dude, you taking Iran money to fight against the country? Those people hate us, and they hate you. How's it not? I mean, I'm just saying, how are you not a traitor? Do you think that you can hate this country so much that you can take money from other countries and come here and beat up on us? And then tell us you're the virtuous one? You really believe that? With all of this nonsense about people being bought and paid for? When they have an opinion that's different to you? Oh, he paid for. Oh, they paid him to say that. But yet nothing when we actually see people getting paid. Millions of dollars. It's absolutely. I look at it and I just go, I cannot believe it's like the upside down all day, every day. Anyway, when we come back, I'll take some phone calls. 860-522-WTIC, 860-522-9842. And by the way, you can all call up about anything that I talked about. It doesn't matter when it is, if it's late. I have not moved on. If you want to talk about something I talked about at the beginning of the show, please have at it. All of you, have at it and call, whatever. But when we return, I want to talk about why I know that these people do not love our country. And that's a big part about where I stand on immigration. And you'll know exactly what I'm talking about if you've ever been in the hood, if you've ever been in a project building, if you've ever been into a absolutely S-word town, if you've ever seen like how disgusting and despicable it is versus being someplace where the lawns are pristine and beautiful. That's how I know that people do not love this town. But I'm going to break it down for you in a second when we return. So stand by for that. More news, more views. It's Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080.
Listen to WTIC News Talk 1080 on the free Odyssey app. Download and like WTIC today for alerts on special programming.
We'll get to the phone calls in a second at 860-522-WTIC, 860-522-9842. I want to read something I saw online today. And this was an X post by a Special Forces warrant officer. And he was analyzing the work that Cam, is it Bigby? Is that his name? Was disseminating for everybody else. Higby, I apologize. He was breaking down everything that Higby was revealing because he had infiltrated the Signal chat group. And for those of you who are familiar with it, this is that Signal app that is encrypted that people can't get into. And a reporter at the Atlantic was a part of that when the inner circle of the White House was giving instructions on or breakdowns of an attack that was going to take place. Anyway, so this man who's a former Special Forces warrant officer wrote this on his X account. As a former Special Forces warrant officer with multiple rotations running counter-insurgency operations, both hunting insurgents and trying to separate them from sympathetic populations, I've seen organized resistance up close and personal. From Anbar to Helmand, the pattern is familiar. Spotters, cutouts, dead drops, or modern equivalents. Disciplined communications, role specification, and a willingness to absorb casualties while bleeding the stronger force slowly. Okay? Absorb casualties. What's unfolding in Minneapolis right now isn't protest. It is a low-level insurgency infrastructure built by people who've clearly studied the playbook. Signal groups at 1,000-member cap per zone. Dedicated roles, mobile chasers, plate checkers, logging vehicle data into shared databases, 24/7 dispatch nodes, vectoring assets, salute-style reporting, size, activity, location, unit time, equipment, unsuspected federal vehicles, daily chat rotations, and time deletions to frustrate forensic recovery. Vetting process for new joiners, mutual aid dispatch, locals, teachers providing cover, possible police department tip-offs, or license plate lookups, home base coordination points, rapid escalation from observation to physical obstruction, which is a good point. How are they able to check license plates? Special Forces team sergeants nod in recognition, replace ICE agents with occupying coalition forces, and the structure maps almost one-to-one perfectly to early-stage urban cells we hunted, he says. We are facing a distributed resistance that's learned the lessons of successful insurgencies. Stay below the kinetic threshold most of the time. Force overreaction when possible, maintain popular support through pushing a propaganda narrative, and never present a single center of gravity. In essence, no head. I've spent years training partner forces to dismantle this kind of apparatus. Now pieces of it standing up in American cities, enabling by elements of local government and civil society that should keep every single person in a country awake at night. Not because I want escalation, because history shows us that these things don't de-escalate on their own once the infrastructure exists and the cadre believe they're winning the information war. That is what he wrote. And I know a lot of you folks are not online like that. But everybody knows that this is happening, and it's happening outside this country, and it's completely infiltrated the United States. Let's go to Jim in Waterbury. How are you, Jim?
Country, and it's completely
Jim?
infiltrated.
Hi, Jim.
Let's go to Jim in Waterbury.
I guess he's waiting on me. He must have me on hold. Jim, you can call back. Hey, is that the poet laureate? Hello, Fred.
Yes, it is. Hey.
Where have you been?
Well, I was abducted by aliens. No. I have a new poem.
Okay.
And it's quite apropos with today's monologue. It's called You Say Potato. I'll bet you can't spell it, though.
Okay.
Well, let's see. Potato. Is there an E? No, but there used to be. Just ask Dan Quayle. I'll bet he remembers. Stung was he by a grade school spelling bee.
That's right.
Consequently, Bill Clinton ascended to the presidency. I believe it's called butterfly theory. but to continue, while we've got a game of potato going. You say Gestapo. I say it's time to go. You say Nazis spreading fear. I say cordon sanitaire. You say she had so much to give. I say she may have been too dumb to live.
Ooh.
You see, we all subscribe to evolution theory. We love Charles Darwin when we win. But then, when the very nature of things renders us extinct, sending us to history's dustbin, we go kicking and clawing, invoking the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, too. But staying alive, well, that's on you. There's an old saying, when you look for trouble, you usually find trouble. Do it together and find it on the double. Look out, look out, look out. As he drove off, I begged him to go slow. Whether or not he heard, I'll never know. Thank you.
Absolutely. And you know what? Welcome back, my friend.
Thank you. All right, that's it.
You got it. Much appreciated. Fred, poet laureate to the Reese on the Radio program. Now let's go back to Jim in Waterbury. How are you, sir?
Yeah, good. How you doing?
I'm good, sir. What do you got?
Yeah, I was saying, I hear Blumenthal spouting off about a partial shutdown.
Oh, okay. Yeah, people do want to talk about that.
Yeah, but the only thing is, the Border Patrol, because of the great, big, beautiful bill, the Border Patrol and ICE, they're fully funded through 2028 and then even into 2029.
Yeah, this is all performative. It's not even a relevant issue. And it's so funny because I think Blumenthal and even Chris Murphy, for that matter, are relying on the ignorance of their constituents.
Yeah, because the only one that'll hurt is the Coast Guard and the TSA.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, which again, well, I wish that was privatized anyway, but that will eventually come out. And then and the funny part is, this is, where you're spot on. Do you think that one person who was sitting in the room during that press conference had the audacity to ask Blumenthal, wait a minute, it's funded through 2028. What are you talking about?
Who would it affect? Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually, it's funny. I have that soundbite anyway, so I'm going to play that in a second. Thank you, sir. I appreciate the call.
Yeah, take care now.
You got it, buddy. Speaking of, here's Blumenthal. He was questioned about this, which is, again, I like the guy, but sometimes, my friend, you got to do better than this, or at least coordinate with your staff. Here's Blumenthal talking about Alex, or at least being asked about Alex Pretti and what he described as Alex Pretti's murder.
You had a statement yesterday that was headlined, Blumenthal's statement on murder of VA nurse Alex Pretti. What made you go with murder as opposed to killing or alleged?
I've never used the term murder.
That was the headline of the statement that went out from your office.
I haven't seen that headline. A headline from my office? Well, I tweeted yesterday.
Okay, this was something that came.
Oh, okay.
Now, if you can't understand what he's talking about, is that Senator Richard Blumenthal, tweeted about the death of Alex Pretti. His office put out a statement that reads, and I quote, Blumenthal's statement on murder of VA nurse Alex Pretti. They didn't even clear it with him. They just wrote it. And he's caught flat-footed here because his own staff screwed up. He knows it isn't a murder, so Blumenthal has to clean it up. It did not go well. Here's how he tried.
So I think I...
What's characterized as a murder?
From the VA. Well, it is an alleged murder. I'm a lawyer and a former prosecutor.
That's why this jumped out at me.
It is certainly an alleged murder. And there has to be an independent investigation to establish whether, in fact, a murder was committed. But plainly, the video shows a killing with at least one agent firing bullets into the back of Alex Pretti on the ground, posing no threat to anyone.
Now, when you're fumbling this bad, what he should have said was, that is wrong on our part. We should correct the record. Get out of it. Just get out. As my wife likes to say, Reese, put the shovel down. He could have just said, well, obviously it's presumed. Yes, of course it is. We know that, but that's not what the statement says. You have to get in front of that immediately. But he's scrambling because he knows he's behind the eight ball here. And he knows it's being videotaped, and he knows it's going to be used against him.
Already disarmed. That strikes me as potentially a murder. It is a intentional killing.
When you're repeating yourself, it's because you're hoping that you clear it up. What he should have said was this.
Of another human being. And I admit the headline may have lacked the term alleged, but...
No kidding. Lead with that in the future. Just lead with that. I don't, again, I've never realized it. Lead with that. But of course, in this stupid idea that everybody's got to jump out a window to make a statement about something they know the least about, thinking that it's always about, all right, Blumenthal released a statement. Why? Because you know it's going to be covered by the news media. And by the way, did you see that news media? There were like 3 reporters and 4 cameras. Like everybody else, there was print media. The cameras were there. No reporter with the cameras. I don't get it. I'm still not understanding that. Like, are you so short-staffed at the news agencies that you guys just spend all day doing B-roll and sound bites? That's not a news network. It just isn't. I miss the days of reporters. You know? Pablo Guzman, Ernie Anastas, Kaidi Chong. Even John Miller, who's now turned into a shell of himself over at CNN. Anyway, we got to take a break. We'll be back. More news, more views when we return. It's Reese on the radio.
It's Reese on the radio on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
Color revolutions. Everybody's always telling me about that. Yes, I know. My good friend Rusty in Virginia, he's always in my ear about that. It's the color revolution all over again. There's a lot of that. There's a lot of that. But it's not, we still have some, what's the best way to put it? We still have some resistors in all of that. And I'm not there yet. I know that there's going to be a time where we might have to be concerned about that. But that's only when the fight stops and people start giving up and throwing their hands up. And I don't think that that's likely. I just don't. I don't really see like a bunch of people saying like, I'm done. When you hear this stuff about how politics and all this stuff is a turnoff to a lot of people, you have to remember why that changes. And I want you to think about this in this way. There are some people who will wait until it's too late to realize that their constitutional rights have been limited. There are plenty of people who are like that. They wake up one day and they go, what do you mean we can't do that anymore? And then we'll go, well, I don't pay attention to that stuff. I got other things to do. There are those folks. And when it affects their daily lives, then they will be like, no, this is bull and we can't do that anymore. Fine. But there are others who already know. who are already in the fight. Those of you who say, yeah, dude, I just don't get involved, you miss something very, very valid in all of this. You don't get involved in it. There's no truth to that. Because I will tell you basic things in life you do get involved in. Think about all the petty things that you are willing to go to war for. My wife is a perfect example of this, and you probably have a spouse or somebody significant in your life who does this as well. Imagine a person who tells you, yeah, I don't care about the whole immigration thing, and then lose their absolute mind when somebody cuts them off in the highway or jumps in front of them at the line, how they lose their mind. And if you're smart, if you're clever, you just go, well, that's funny. That bothered you. But our current immigration where people are undercutting your wages or your way of life and destroying the communities that you live in, it doesn't affect you. But this guy jumping in front of you to go see the new Superman movie has got you losing it. Well, it's interesting. And then say nothing. Just walk back. You don't even have to. They'll realize it was like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. Well, that's what's happening. Every time you sit on the sidelines, when you make choices. Right now, you are willing to get into a fisticuff with a guy who jumps in front of you online to go see a movie or jumps in front of you at a Broadway show, disrespects you, completely dismisses you and your existence by jumping in front of you on the line. And yet when it comes to your country, your neighborhood, your way of life, yeah, not that interested. I find that funny. In fact, I find it quite hilarious. But, I could be wrong, right? Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. But you think about that the next time you see somebody jump in front of you. Just think about it. Yeah, more upset about this than I am about my country, my way of life, my wages, our sovereignty. Speaking of cutting you in line, let's check out some traffic. Mark Christopher is getting you home. He is in the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. How are we doing out there with all this melting snow? Or is it melting at all?
No, it ain't going to be melting for a while, that's for sure.
It's Reese on the radio. And don't say we didn't warn you on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
All right, let's get to the stupidest thing I've read today.
Yes, you do. Stupid as can be. This could very well be the stupidest person on the face of the earth.
So when we ran a U-Haul in Texas, one of the biggest problems I had in the summer was that underneath the U-Haul trucks, when they were parked overnight, we had a hell of a lot of stray dogs that would be underneath the trucks for shade. Now, of course, it's like 110 in the shade in San Antonio. So every time I go in there and I have to shoot it, and, they're stray dogs, so you don't know who's going to attack you. I was always nervous about that. And then I see this story. In Houston, Texas, a pair of stray dogs wreaked havoc on the G Motors car dealership, causing over $350,000 in damages by scratching paint and ripping off bumpers from multiple vehicles. Surveillance cameras caught the culprits in action over several incidents, starting in November, prompting the dealership's managers to contact animal control. The dog's destructive spree turned the lot into a costly mess, blending chaos with the unexpected. I've never seen a junkyard dog might rip a tire, but can you imagine a dog ripping off a bumper? A bumper. $350,000 worth of damage, scratching up the car. Stray dogs have always scared the hell out of me. But I had to deal with them in San Antonio all the time. That just scares me even more if I see a stray dog. That's an incredible amount of damage. Insanity. Let's go to Mark Christopher. He's in the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. You've got a dog. He wouldn't do this kind of damage. He ever cost you that kind of money? $350,000 worth of damage?
The boys, no. One weighs like 45 pounds. The other weighs about 35. So
okay, so they're relatively medium dogs.
Yeah, I can't see them ripping off a bumper, to be honest with you, but you never know. I better keep an eye on them.
What do you feed a dog to rip off a bumper?
Yeah, really, huh?
I mean, a bumper, like usually... Yeah, you don't feed them. I guess you don't.
Well,
that makes sense.
Are they slipping them steroids or something?
I don't know. $350,000 worth of damage at a car dealership.
And do you think insurance would cover that if they had insurance?
Oh, you would hope so, man.
But you're thinking that doesn't cover dog damage.
Yeah, exactly. Scratches and bumper removal. Goodness gracious! Just steal the car.
Yeah, really. Yeah. You're better off that way. Hey, if you're heading the dealer's better off that way.
It's Reese on the radio on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
We're back. It's Reese on the radio. You know what I meant to tell you about the story about the $350,000 damage in the stupidest thing? This is the part that I forgot. But I didn't have enough time, so I wanted to get to Mark Christopher. They called the animal shelter, which is called BARC, B-A-R-C. They finally contacted them, and they did get the dogs, and the dogs are in the animal shelter. Here's where it gets crazy. Authorities are hoping that the dogs get to find homes. While the dealership recovers from the ordeal. No one is taking these dogs, ever. They're trying to find them homes. Hey, so is this dog aggressive? Well... Do you have any bumpers around the house? Yes, that's it. Also, we talked about it on the show a couple of weeks ago. No, just a week ago, in fact, Roland, about going to Wegmans. And we talked about the fact that there are going to be biometrics at the Wegmans all across every one of the stores. And then another story came out that said that ShopRite is doing it already. Stop and Shop, not ShopRite. Stop and Shop is doing it already. I think it was a Connecticut Insider story. It said that, they've been using these barometrics. Barometric? Yeah, it is. Maybe it may have been ShopRite then. Anyway, but the fact that Wegmans is not the only folks using this. And they say it's to stop theft. And many people had a problem with it saying, after the theft thing, they secure that and people aren't stealing anymore. What are they going to do with all of our information? And I said, more than likely, you have to make some use of it. So more than likely it will be sold. This many people buy Folgers. This many people buy, Tampax. It doesn't matter. So I said, eventually they're going to have to make some money off of it. But another story just came out recently talking about grocery stores. Amazon Go. Are you familiar with them, Roland? Please tell me you've heard of them.
I have not.
Okay. Amazon Go is what I would have to consider one of the most innovative grocery store shopping experiences that I've ever seen. You have an Amazon Prime account, and you walk into the grocery store, and you just grab the item you want and put it in your bag. And you leave. Well, 3 years ago, when it was first brought up, Saturday Night Live did a bit on it. It went like this.
Since 2018, Amazon's been showing customers a new way to shop, where you can just grab and go. It's Amazon Go.
So I just grab what I want and leave?
Yep.
Wow, that's so easy.
Use the Amazon Go app to enter, then start shopping.
That's it?
That's it. No lines, no checkouts.
No problem.
At an Amazon Go store, you can walk in, grab what you want, put it in your bag, and just go.
Oh, so you want me to just take something and walk out? Nah, son.
But it's so convenient.
No. And let's try.
We know some people are skeptical.
Some people?
Well, here's how it works. We use computer vision, deep learning algorithms, and sensor fusion.
Oh, okay. So it's a trap. So where do you pay?
There's no register. It all happens with our grab-and-go technology.
But where do you pay?
You don't.
No, I do. I always pay. Okay, who do you think I am?
It's simple. Take what you want, put it in your own bag, and walk out. And we have everything you love.
Oh, hey, they have my favorite brand of kombucha.
Oh, that's great. You should grab it.
Sure. Can you grab it?
Me? No, just grab it.
You should pick it up.
So the interesting part about this bit is, of course, all of the blacks and Hispanics that are in there refuse to
Yeah, that's a setup. But you know what? You know what's crazy about that? That's what we do at Sam's.
Do you do that at Sam's?
Yeah, that's what we do at Sam's. We don't go to any register.
Really?
We go through the app, and when we put something in a basket, we just scan it on our phone.
Right.
And then once it's scanned on our phone, we just walk out.
Now, that's amazing because guess what? Amazon Go is going away. They've decided that they are going to stop it and they're just going to turn them into Whole Foods because, you know, they're owned by them because they're saying that they just couldn't get people to trust the idea.
Yeah.
People would, and I knew it. As soon as I said it, I was like, nope. Saturday Night Live was so smart and quick to understand that there were going to be some people say, what? Like we just grab it and no. People are not comfortable with that.
Yeah, but you're not just grabbing and leaving. You're going through the app.
Yes, exactly.
Your card is on the app.
Yes, but if the average customer is not used to that.
Yeah, I know.
And it's just was never going to take off. I thought it was the most insane thing I've ever heard.
I loved it because I'm looking to the right and it's like four long lines down the whole store.
Right.
Of people with full baskets, and we're just pushing our basket out the store.
Exactly, just gone. It is convenient, but I just don't think that everybody will use it.
Yeah.
Even though I will admit, if it's Amazon, which of course is associated with Whole Foods, you can damn well bet, one, that it's pretty pricey, but two, it's probably the freshest and best stuff that you can get at a grocery store. I mean, it's got to be some of the best food anywhere, and it's got to be all organic, and all that. But I looked at that and said, as soon as I saw that bit, back in the day.
That's like if I walk past a car in the summertime with the window down and there's a bunch of cash on the seat.
Right.
I'm gonna keep walking.
Yep. It's like, no, that's setting me up.
I'm gonna keep walking. There's no way.
Completely. But I just thought when I heard that, and all of a sudden WFSB actually is reporting on the fact that they're closing it down.
I never even knew they existed. That's crazy.
Really? You never
I didn't know
heard
they
of
had
that?
a grocery store. No, I didn't.
Oh, no. I was totally they started springing up in Virginia, like in all of the very, very new developments like Culpeper and all the way out west in Virginia. They were, as soon as they were bringing.
What did it look like? I'm going to have to Google it.
It is, it looks, how do I put it? It looks like a very, very fancy grocery store. And it just has a big giant Amazon on it. And it just says Amazon Go. That's all it is.
And it had like literal groceries in there.
Oh yeah, nothing but groceries.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not even like groceries and like your Amazon products or any of that. No, it's all groceries.
And they said just go in there, grab what you want, and leave.
Once you go in, you use you scan your Amazon thing on the app.
Yep.
Because it's funny because where's the place that Roseanne and I go to, or at least went to a place in Texas that's what it is, at Whole Foods. Because, again, they're owned by Amazon. We actually will pay for our stuff through our Amazon app at Whole Foods.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that's right. Totally. I was like, why? I know that she uses that. But, yeah, she does every time. But I can't. I'll tell you, the only reason why I've sort of remembered that is that she always calls me from the car or wherever else I'm going or am at the time because I won't walk through Whole Foods.
Yeah, I've only been in Whole Foods one time.
Can you help me with this? Am I the only person, Roland? Why is it that you won't go into Whole Foods? Do you feel uncomfortable there?
I just don't. I don't really. Number one, I don't eat a lot of stuff from there.
Okay.
So I haven't really.
Like you wouldn't. There's nothing to appeal to you, right?
I have no reason to go inside.
I'm just learning that quinoa is just like rice's dirt. It's like, that's all. Like, I just realized. I'm just going, what's this quinoa stuff? And I looked at it and I just went, oh, it's like rice dirt. It's all it is. It's like very, very small pieces. It's like somebody took rice and chopped it in half or to like 3 pieces. It's just dirt. It's just rice dirt. But yeah, so I don't know. For me, I'm uncomfortable there because everyone there, and this happened to me. I'm not a race card guy.
Uh-oh.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Folks, if you go to Whole Foods, I promise you I do not mean you. I do not. And if, like I said, if it don't apply, let it fly. But it's very, very truthful. And maybe it's me. It probably is me. But you ever go into a place and you feel like you shouldn't be there? Right? It's just like you feel like, why am I here? It's like going into Victoria's Secret as a man.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's like,
I don't.
You don't, right?
Yeah, I stay it on the outside.
Whatever the feeling is, I also feel that way about, what's the other place? Is it not
Bath and Body Works?
Bath and Body Works.
Now, I will go in there because I buy stuff.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a men's section.
I know. I used to actually wear a cologne. A girlfriend of mine used to buy me the cologne there, the citrus something. She used to buy
I'm
that
quick.
for me.
I go right to my stuff.
And you're out.
And I'm out of there.
Yeah. So I don't do, like, again, Victoria's Secret, the same thing. So in Whole Foods, I walk in there and there's a whole bunch of stuff that I know that I don't understand. Even the tuna. Like, it's something as simple as tuna. It's too highbrow for me. And you know what it was? I'll tell you that. There was at one time I walked in and I said to the lady, it was when I went to West Hartford. And I said to the woman, can I get a bagel with cream cheese? And the woman said, what kind of cream cheese? It's like, and my response to that was, there's a kind?
There's more? More than one?
I couldn't believe it. I was like, what are you talking? Like, I'm looking at her like she's weird. And of course, she's giving the same look back to me. You don't know that there are 84 kinds of cream cheese?
Yeah, even I knew. I knew there's different kinds because I don't like it. So I know a lot about things I don't like for some reason.
That's called objective hate, my friend. That's what that's called. And it's good. It's good to have objective hate. At least know the thing you can't stand, right? It's not reckless. But yeah, I couldn't believe that. She was like, what kind? I'm like, cream cheese. She goes, oh, you just want plain. I went, like, is that not in the answer? Like, at least the question, can I have a bagel with cream cheese?
You have to say plain cream cheese.
I didn't even know that I had to add extra words. I thought that it was self-explanatory. It is. I used to get into trouble like that. My friend Derek used to say that to me all the time when we go to the drive-thru at McDonald's. And I remember the woman saying to me, like, after we make our order, she goes, would you like an apple pie? And I would go, did I ask for an apple pie? And he would say, stop that. They're going to spit in our food.
Yeah,
and my response to them is, please spit in my food. Please do. I dare you. I double dare you. And he was like, no, they're going to do it. I'm like, yes, and we're going to own this McDonald's. Please. Spit in my food. If you think I was being rude by saying, did I ask for an apple pie, and you think that warrants you to actually put phlegm in my food, go right ahead. Can't wait.
You know it's their job to sell you extra things.
Don't care. Even I'm sorry. I don't care. Even I know. Listen, when I was in sales, I always knew that I couldn't, like, when I was a shoe salesman, yes, I did that job.
You was Al Bundy?
Yes, I
The Black Al Bundy.
I was the Black Al Bundy. I worked at Tom McCann on the Upper East Side, 116th Street and 2nd Avenue. I always knew that if I sold someone a pair of shoes, of course, their big thing was always sell them a sock, sell them like, shoehorn, sell them something. Always had the upsell. I could tell in a heartbeat, nope, just get the shoe. Get the shoe and let them go. And I would get my manager would say to me all the time, did you upsell them? And I went, no. He was like, why not? I'm like, I just dealt with that customer for 40 minutes. There's no way that person is buying any socks. Well, you should bring it up. And I said to the woman, "It's like, do you think you'll need any stockings for these shoes?" No. I was like, you can tell.
Yeah,
you can tell.
You can, but you can't always go by that, because the people that you think won't do it, maybe 2 out of the 10 will, and that's the two that you want.
Mary used to say that all the time when she, I told her, I said, how can you get someone that you know is nickel and diming everything? How do you convince them to buy the Ralph Lauren or the Gucci frames? Like, works in optometry. and she would always sell them or upsell them the most fancy glasses. And I would say, how do you do that when you know that person's on a fixed income? You don't feel guilty about that? She goes, well, if they don't spend the money here, they're going to spend it somewhere else. And I get that logic. But for me, it's a sense of guilt. Maybe it's my own.
You in there trying to help people.
Yeah.
you can't be trying to help people if you in sales, man.
What a criminal! What an awful person, Roland.
Terrible.
Yeah, I'm out there trying to help people. You cretin.
That's awful.
I can't. She does it all the time. She said that. She goes, if they don't buy it here, they'll spend the money elsewhere. So why not with you? And I get it. The logic, no argument there. That logic makes sense. And the problem I have is me. It's not them. It's me. Because I'm saying to myself, it's like that stupid line about how do you sleep at night? I know that if I'm listening, because when you sell people things, you develop a quick relationship with them because they are trusting you with your knowledge and know-how of the product. So in that moment, when you're selling them a toy or selling them shoes or selling them eyeglasses, you are getting to know them. You're almost becoming pally with them, and you want them to spend their money. And if you know that they're struggling, you have to ask yourself, let's see if we could get them to spend a little more. And me, I equate that with like sinister. It's just for me. It's just I know maybe, and I'm not trying to pat myself I'm not trying to pat myself on the back. I've just always been uncomfortable with that.
Yeah,
always.
You know why? Because you're not a salesman.
Yeah, I'm not. There it is.
That's why. That's how you know whether or not you're a salesman. I was a salesman for Comcast for years.
Oh,
so
I'm telling you, that's the reason why I respect our sales team right here, because that's what they have to do every day, and I know it's tough because I can't do it.
Yep.
It's like they have the ultimate job, and it sucks because some people will say, nope, not interested. You get so many no's. It's the only business where you get more no's.
You're playing the law of averages.
Oh,
That's
man.
what you're doing.
And their odds are not good.
So you got to talk to every single person that walks in. I did it. I was the guy in Walmart that would run up on people and say, hey, are you happy with your company?
Cable company, yeah.
And they'd be like, if they say yes or no or get out my face, that's just law of averages.
Yeah.
I know if I talk to 10, I'm going to get 2. And that's how you got to do it.
Mark Christopher, he's getting you home. He's in the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center.
How may I serve you?
Oh. I want my money back. These shoes you sold me are as useless to me as a comb is to you. I've only worn them once, and they split at the sides.
Well, let me explain. See, it's just like an elevator. There's a 2-ton weight limit on it.
Oh, no.
Thank you, Mark.
Yeah, Reese would never do that.
Couldn't do it.
Stay locked in. Reese on the Radio is on WTIC News Talk 1080.
By the way, folks, if you haven't been following Signalgate, we will be getting more and more updates from Cam Higbee, who has been doing great reporting on this, and more info is coming out. In fact, there is some breaking news that I'm not going to get into until I can confirm this. So I'm going to go to a couple of my sources in order to make sure that it is true, but there are some other details about Alex Pretti that we are learning, and some new videotape that took place before the actual shooting. And I need to confirm that this indeed is video that was taken by Alex Pretti. And let me just lay it out for you. I'll put it to you this way. According to this source, it is quite possible that police officers were searching for him before the shooting took place. We're going to confirm that as soon as we can, but there is a lot of reporting on this. And as you can expect, it was going to happen. There were going to be more and more stories as this story developed. And earlier in the show, if you're late or just getting here for that matter, I told you that you always pay very close attention to the fever pitch of which people want to report everything about who they are considering a villain or a victim. And this was very obvious in the story of places like, Michael Brown and Trayvon Martin. What I would like to do, and I'm going to see if I can find it, if you don't mind me doing this, it's sort of rehashing this. I need to find it first. But so what I'm going to say is, if you haven't already, follow me on Facebook. You go to ReeseOnTheRadio.com. That's ReeseOnTheRadio.com. And friend me on Facebook. This is usually where I post these. Let me give you a little background. So while everyone was screaming and hollering about what was going on in the Trayvon Martin case, if you are interested in this story, it is one that very few people ever read. Now, I want to say it was Reuters, but it may have indeed been the Associated Press. But they were the only organization that went out and spoke to people who lived in the community where the shooting of Trayvon Martin took place. I'll give you a perfect example of what I'm talking about with stories that are sort of left in the trash heap of history. And what is in that story is the reporter is talking to an older black woman in the community. And she tells the story of everything that led up to Trayvon Martin's death, a story nobody knows. And that is how George Zimmerman became the neighborhood watchman and the reason why they needed one. And they failed to mention one part in all of this. I'll sort of give you a tease when I post it. George Zimmerman's wife at the time was she was homeschooling, I should say. She was at home studying for college in the home while George Zimmerman was out doing his thing, right? Working and doing whatever and taking care of his folks. And earlier that day, or earlier the day that happened before the shooting, there was a woman who lived next door to them with a baby, 6-month-old. And young men broke into her home to rob it while workmen across the street watched the entire thing happen. The woman had to run into her apartment with her 6-month-old baby, her house with a 6-month-old baby, and hide in the closet while calling 911. Well, afterwards, George Zimmerman said, listen, if you're ever alone and you need some company, go to my house and you could hang out with my wife. And that started everything, because it turns out the entire neighborhood was getting robbed in the same fashion. The entire neighborhood. So remember what I said earlier about the perfect storm of calamity? That's what this was. Let's get another check of traffic and weather. Mark Christopher is in the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. Hey, Mark.
The NAACP calls him, whoa, I don't think I'm allowed to read this. It's Reese on the radio. Let's just say some people are not fans. On News Talk 1080, WTIC.
Larry just sent me a great line, and I never had an answer for this, but Larry, I got to applaud you. This has got to be the comment of the day. This is perfect. Brother, you ever been to a store and someone asks you, hi, sir, did you find everything okay? They ask you that all the time. Larry's got the greatest response to that. He says, a store clerk asked me if I found everything okay. And I replied, why? You hiding something? I love dad jokes. That's the perfect dad jokes. He says they asked him to never come back, though. I'm totally doing that. I just texted him back and said, I'm stealing that. That is mine now. No one else can hold it. It's all mine. Rama says, more like Tom McCant. It wasn't all that bad. The customers were worse than the company. It was a great store. I mean, if, Stinky Feet didn't come in. It's so funny because you mentioned Al Bundy. This woman was exactly like the customers that Al Bundy had to deal with. She was just rude and, bring out the wrong thing, she would lose it. It was just, it was the worst. It was just the worst. Anyway, hey, John Beckman is here drinking coffee. Trayvon was Eugene, go away. Eugene says Trayvon was stalked by Zimmerman. Why didn't Zimmerman ever identify himself to Trayvon? Eugene, God bless you, my man. Look, No. See, normally I would say I've forgotten more about the Trayvon Martin case than you remember, but I've forgotten nothing. Do you understand this? I remember everything about that case, and you couldn't even dare to challenge me. I would be the Final Jeopardy champion of the Trayvon Martin story. There isn't a thing you could ask me I didn't know. From the moment that it all took place to the trial, to the testimony, I know it all, and I've committed it to memory. When they say that I have got a wealth of useless information, the Trayvon Martin case with George Zimmerman is a waste of information, and I have it all right here in my head. There isn't one thing you could bring up about that. I would literally leave. And no, let me go one step further. Not only do I commit it to memory, I have got a treasure trove of evidence to back up everything I say about it. So I'm not trying to be rude or trying to be arrogant. I'm just telling you, you know nothing. And I mean that. Nothing. And it's evident in your claim saying that he was stalked by Zimmerman. That never happened. And I'll even give you a test. If you're so bright, who threw the first punch and why? And I'm saying, if you know who threw the first punch and why, you know it has nothing to do with either one of those men, because I do. I know exactly who threw the first punch and why they threw it. Hell, I even know the temperature and the weather conditions of that day. Do you? I know everything. I know the outline of the entire Sanford, Florida subdivision. Do you? I've studied this like it was a college thesis, like I was going to graduate from Trayvon Martin University. That's how well I know it. So, take your little race-baiting nonsense and enjoy the show. Okay? Now, back to what I was doing. Tell that story to Russell Simmons or one of those other knuckleheads. Let's go to Craig in Walcott. Hello, Craig.
Hey, Reese, a quick shoe salesman story. I worked in a couple of places.
All right, wait. Before you even tell me, what was the worst shoe company you worked for? Was it a private or was it a chain? And if it was a chain and you can't say, that's fine.
It was Selby Shoes, if you remember that
I
name.
do. Of course I do.
I worked in New Jersey, so a little bit high-end. You had to measure the person's foot before you went back.
Absolutely. And not with that silly little metal device. You had to go all in.
You got it. So the funny story is some big ladies would walk in and they'd say, I'm pretty sure that I'm a 9. And I'd put them on the device, and they're at least an 11.5.
Woo, baby.
So I'd go back and get them an 11.5, and they try the shoe on. They, oh, this feels nice. Oh, I've never felt a shoe like this. And then when we get to the counter and they see the shoe size on the box, they say, I can't get these. I don't wear an 11.5. I'm not going to get these shoes. So even though they were perfectly fit shoes, they still wouldn't wear them because in their mind they were a 9.5.
Yeah, it's interesting. I remember the first time I asked Roseanne about her shoe size. Do you know she actually hesitated?
Yeah, it's a weird thing.
Women are very particular about their shoe size. I've never even understood that. I'm like, because I don't even understand. Like, I don't get it. Are you a big shoe size guy? Like, you see a woman with 11.5, you don't call her like Bigfoot, do you?
No. It didn't matter to me. I just wanted the commission on the sale. But
you know what? Since we're sharing, let me tell you this one. This Craig, this is absolutely great. Do you know which celebrity is really self-conscious about their feet? She's very famous.
Oprah.
No. Julia Roberts.
Wow.
Yeah.
I could see her being a Bigfoot, though.
Yeah, and funny, I've got people doing this, but I've never said this on the radio. See if you can ever find a movie where they show her feet. Apparently.
Yeah, she's probably an 11 narrow.
Yeah, probably true. That's what I used to, it's so funny because until somebody mentioned it to me, I didn't notice. Like Barbara Streisand does not like to be filmed from the left. Neither does Mariah Carey. They must be filmed from the right. I didn't even know people were like that. So it's like, it's more than my good side. It's like they won't. In fact, I'm almost certain you can actually look this up. And I have it on. I'm certain of this. Oprah Winfrey, before she had on Barbra Streisand, it was like one of the biggest interviews Oprah had ever done. She was so excited about it. Oprah was always on the left, and her guest was on the right in every show she had ever done until Barbra Streisand came, and they had to switch.
I love it.
That's how crazy it is. Thank you, Craig. I appreciate you, buddy.
Thanks.
You got it, man. Shoe sales. Roland said he worked in the back. Lucky dog. I would have loved to have worked in the back and been in stock. I love the stock room. That's the best place to hang out because I don't have to sell anything.
Yeah, I love that because everybody was complaining about not meeting their metrics and sales, this, and that. And I'm just in the back chilling like, hey, what size you need? Oh, I got it right here. There you go. Here you go.
Yeah, I would never, like, that was the worst part. And it's, I have to tell a horrible part about that job. One day I just stopped going. I didn't even go back and collect my last check.
They sent it to you in the mail.
No, they didn't send it to me. I never collected it. I never did.
You should go back and get that.
It was on. I remember because it was on 160. At least that was the train station I got off at 116th Street and 2nd or 3rd Avenue, whatever it was. And I remember working there. Just one day, I couldn't do it anymore. It was just too taxing to sell shoes, and I knew that I wasn't gonna sell any of that stuff, like the shoe polish and the shoe foam and everything else that was on there. And it was Tom McCann. There was no way I was gonna convince ladies to buy the shoes that were there. And then the worst part is that there were young girls who were coming in with their. I mean, I'm like 18 years old. And you got people and families and girls coming in buying shoes, and you don't want to be the guy selling shoes at the store when the cute girl is coming in. It's just you don't want to be that guy. It just isn't. And this before the Al Bundy days. You just don't. And one day I just said, I can't do this anymore. I just can't. I just stopped going. Just had to. I had to give it up. I just had to.
Just a no call, no show forever.
I know it's a really, really sad part of my history in employment. I cannot believe that I actually did not go back to a job. Because I love, me, I love to work. That was just one I couldn't do.
Yeah, I mean, I think we all have at least one of those.
Really?
I may even have two of them.
What, worst job ever?
No, like that I just left and never came back? And never called or anything.
Really? No call and no show?
Yeah.
I can't think of anyone other than that
one of them only lasted 3 days. So,
really?
Yeah, that was.
You weren't cut out for
trying to sell roofing.
Ooh.
In the suburbs.
Ooh. Oh my God! You had to walk from place to place?
They would drop us off at 9 a.m. and pick us up at 5 p.m.
Oh.
So I had to stay in that neighborhood all day.
Oh.
Going from house to house. Trying to, could you imagine? 6'1", tall, dark, and handsome, but sweating.
Yes.
In a button-up shirt and a tie.
Soliciting,
trying to sell roofing. I did it 3 days, and they were like, you almost got your first week down. We can't wait to see you tomorrow. And in my head, I was like, you will never see me again. And I never went back.
Yeah.
And by the way, in those 3 days, I didn't sell not one roofing. It got so bad, I walked up to one of the houses, and I'm just sweating like crazy. I'm out there, and I'm doing my pitch, and the guy just says, just stop what you're saying. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. He comes back with like 2 cold bottles of water. He was like, here, man, you out here looking like you're dying. So after that, I was like, yeah, this ain't it. I can't have people feeling sorry for me.
Yeah, that's it. There's no way that you can, there's no confidence in that.
Yeah.
There's no buy this roofing from me. And that's,
they're looking at me like, what are you out here doing, sir?
Oh, I feel awful for you.
And it was tag team. There's always 2 people they drop off. And this guy was getting all type of sales.
Can I tell you the truth? You know what? If you'd have showed up in San Antonio, Texas last year, I'd have bought the roofing just because you were there. That's me. Like I said, I can't talk people out of money, but I can spend my own. That's how horrible I am. That's how it is. Just them. Let's go to Bill. Hello, Bill.
Hey, Reese, how are you?
Hey, Billy. What's going on? It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. I was ringing bells for the Salvation Army.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that last part.
I said I've been ringing bells for the Salvation Army.
Oh, okay. Thank you, man. Absolutely. Proud partners here at WTIC.
Yeah, I got a cute story for you about a guy coming up to the register at a grocery store. I used to bag groceries at a store here in Torrington.
Hold on. Let me do this, Bill.
And the store just instituted a policy that you were talking about, asking if they found everything that they were looking for. And this guy comes up and to my register where I'm bagging and said, hello, sir, how are you? Did you find everything you were looking for? And he goes, no. I'm there. Well, what is it you were looking for? Perhaps I can have someone go find it for you. So what is it you were looking for? He goes, the two things I actually came in here for.
That's it?
Yep, that's it.
Thank you, Billy. I appreciate you, sir. Let me get one more in here. Karen is coming in from Southington. Hello, Karen.
Hi there, Reese. Okay, you've got me in stitches talking about these jobs and everything, and I had not heard of Tom McCann in so many years.
Oh,
yeah. Let me just explain something about women and their shoe size.
Please.
Okay? So I am only 5'3", and I wear basically an 8.5, a 9, and if it's sneakers, it's more like a 9.5.
That's a lot of foot for a 5'3" woman.
But when I was a kid, it was hard to find shoes when you were a teenager to find shoes that were that big. But now women are encountering not being able to find shoes if they have small feet because most people have larger feet. So
really?
To accommodate us. But my mom used to tell this story when she was growing up, and she was probably 5'8", and she wore a 10.
Wow.
And they had no 10 shoe sizes for her at all as a child, and she had to switch into like an 8 or something. So at least it's a little bit easier, but yeah, I'm like 5'3", and then you look at me from an angle, and what you see are a bunch of skis.
Yeah, I was about to say, you took the word right out of my mouth. I was like,
yeah, I know, but that's why in the summer, when you have big feet, women should wear wedge shoes.
That's
they're
right.
So high, but then they make your foot look a little elevated, so they don't look so.
They don't look long. Perfect. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you, Karen. You got it. Let's get another check of weather and traffic. Mark Christopher, he's in the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center.
The hour that packs a punch. It's Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080.
I was just telling Roland that there's this video of comedian Tracy Morgan that's gone viral, and Tracy Morgan is saying to this guy, I guess the guy's walking up to him saying, "Hey, can I get $1 or something like that?" Tracy Morgan looks at the guy and he says, it's like, "No, I remember you used to bully me when I was a kid." And the guy responds by saying, "When I'm homeless now." And Tracy Morgan is very dismissive. He's like, "Well, I ain't got nothing to do with that." And he just dismisses the guy. So it started this conversation about, whether or not Tracy Morgan, as wealthy as he is, he got paid from the Walmart accident and stuff, like to treat a homeless person like that. And just because that when they were kids, sort of let bygones be bygones. That's the conversation that people are having online. I, on the other hand, am not having that conversation because I know the homeless guy. I know him pretty well. And back in my New York radio days of the Star Book Wild Morning Show, Star used to bring in a guy who was always down on his luck. Whenever we were doing a live event somewhere like Caroline's on Broadway, he would invite this guy who was known as Wino Will. That's his name. Well, at least that was the name that he used. And he has always been homeless. He was a struggling comedian And, of course, hence the name, an alcoholic. So if you see the video out there and you're passing by, yes, that's the breakdown. I did not know that he knew Tracy Morgan like that. Tracy Morgan's from Brooklyn. Wino Will's from Brooklyn. I'm calling him Wino Will like that's his name. Will is from Brooklyn. And they both, kind of in the comedian circle. One clearly did better than the other. But it was when I saw his face, as soon as I saw the guy, I was like, whoa, I know that guy. And I had to stop and I was pausing and I'm looking. I was like, oh, man. And Will used to be on the show back in 2001. Here we are over 20 years later. And that guy, look, he may have been homeless all of this time. But I got to say, as a former homeless guy, 20 years is a lot of time to still be homeless and a lot of time to still, to endure the northeastern weathers. That's a lot. And it's funny because Will doesn't look like he aged much. He's like, yeah, apparently he is. But yeah, that's if you see the video, the guy in there, just to give you some context, that's Wino Will from back in the days. Let's get another check of traffic and weather. Mark Christopher, he's in the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. No winos on the road, right?
No, hopefully not.
It's Reese on the radio on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
Just going through a whole bunch of other stuff here before we get out of here. By the way, Roseanne called me earlier in the show, and she misses you guys. She doesn't listen to the show when she's out doing her own thing. She did want me to tell all of you that she did manual labor today with her friend Nicole. They went outside and they shoveled ice and snow. Can't get her to do that stuff at home, but whatever. It's okay. It's no big deal. She's doing that. I wanted to get to something I wanted to talk about earlier, and that was that what I've come to notice about illegals as of late. Because this wasn't always the case, but illegals as of late do not respect the country that is hosting them. And it's very evident that they do not respect it. And let me explain to you why. It's not about the conditions of the neighborhoods they live in. It has nothing to do with that. It really has nothing to do with the fact that they work in these ridiculous jobs that pay them meager wages and they send half of it back to their home country. That has nothing to do with it at all. Here's why I say there's no respect. I watched a video today of a man who was with his wife, I believe, or girlfriend. I think it was his girlfriend. In fact, I don't even think it was his wife, but his girlfriend. And the guy was hugging his girlfriend while she was in cuffs being taken by ICE. And it was clearly in the Northeast. I don't know if it was in New York or Boston, whenever it was, but it was clearly the Northeast. But they show him hugging her and crying as they took his girlfriend away to be removed from the country, or at least end up in a detention center. But he cried. And there was nothing he could do. Not a thing. Now, ladies, I want to talk to you. More of you are likely to be on the left. Even though a lot of conservative women listen to this show, I know I don't really have to talk to them about this or in this way. So I want to appeal to liberal women. Even some of you who have male genitalia. What would you do if your man, significant other, boyfriend, could do nothing while you were hauled away? Now, I'm looking at this probably from not just an ideological place. I want to look at this from a cultural place. I'm going to go real deep down and dirty here. Listen very closely. This man is a Hispanic man, Latino man. And his wife, girlfriend, significant other, wifey, baby mama, was placed in handcuffs and sent out of the country, and he could do nothing. But not one person posted the following. Hey, my man, you knew your girl was illegal. What did you do to make her legal? How did you, because I would consider providing for my woman at least the most basic needs, like keeping her in the country, maybe? Perhaps not putting her at risk, especially if I'm having children with her. Perhaps if I'm the breadwinner and she is at home and I do nothing to secure her station in our country, the kid's mother, you did nothing as a man. Hey, sweetheart, hey, let's get down to immigration. Let's make this happen. I'm legal, you need to be legal. What are our kids going to do if they come in here and they take you? The woman, according to the story, was here for years. No efforts made. And this is what I mean by not respecting the country. Primarily because there was no fear. Not even enough respect to do it during the Biden administration when nobody was messing with you. Nobody was coming to get you. There was really literally no effort to come and find you or locate you. Not once did you say to yourself, a day may come when my girl is going to have to leave. A day may come. You didn't respect the rules. You just thought you were going to come in and you were just going to chill. You know, Roland mentioned something earlier about walking past a car with the window open with a stack of bread sitting right there on the passenger seat. And he walks past it every day. And he just keeps taking it. Now, Roland said if he saw the window open, he damn sure wouldn't. He would know in his heart. They set me up. I ain't taking that. I don't care. I don't care how desperate I am. It is not worth the risk. Even if I might get away, nope. I just don't want that. I'm always going to be looking over my shoulder. Did they see it? Are they going to find out? I don't want to live like that. And then there are some people who will just keep taking it. And that's what this guy did. And that's what this guy and his girl did. They just kept taking. And that's how I know you don't care about this country. While you were sitting pretty for 4 whole years with the Biden administration and the government finding you every way, every possible way to accommodate your stay. You were probably living in a state that looked the other way. Nah, he's good. Nah, they're good. We're never going to come and get those folks. You are all right, because this is a sanctuary state and we protect our citizens. But you never once, you looked at all of that, you took it for granted because you said, yeah, why bother? So it was never ever about you getting your citizenship. And my question is, why? Is it because you don't respect our laws? Absolutely. You don't respect the rule of law. And you don't respect us. Now, I believe, and this is something that I know for a fact, I try not to use the word believe because I know this for a fact, that all of us, no matter where we're from, have what's called an unwritten code of ethics. Right? Not unless you are doing the dozens, you don't talk about somebody's mama. You just don't. It's not something you do.
What you say about my mama?
That's a code of ethics. There's also never disrespect anybody's girlfriend or wife. Those are fighting words. Never, ever come for anybody's children. Never do that. Right? You're asking for a war. Just have those things. Everybody has them, no matter what the culture is. No kiss, as Scarface would say. I told you no kiss. I told you no kiss. He put his whole life in jeopardy because they had a code. Scarface wasn't going to blow up that car because there were kids in there. I told you no kids. Look at you now. That was the whole deal. Everybody's got a code of ethics. I don't care who they are. Even criminals do. And my question is why would you come here? Why would you sit in this country all of that time? Or while you're sitting here, why are you not busting your hump to get your citizenship here? And the only way you're going to do it is if you gain one little bit of respect for the country, understands its laws. That's all. Are you driving without a driver's license? How smart is that? Do you expect to get on a plane without one? Without identification? Do you expect to rent a car doing it? How are you supposed to actually live amongst the rest of us if you are not willing to follow the rules? Or if you just decide I'm going to, one, live in the shadows, or I'm going to find a way to skate around them instead of respecting them. If it were you, wouldn't you expect me to adhere to them? If we were in your house, let's say this. I'll give you a perfect example, folks, especially liberal women. Imagine I am in an illegal's home. Everybody in the house is illegal. Grandma, grandpa, husband, wife, all the children. They just got here a month ago. And I meet the father at a job. And he invites me over to come hang out with the family. And then while I'm sitting there, again, just invited in, I just walk into his kitchen and I start eating from the pots and pans and go into his refrigerator and grab myself a cerveza. What would everybody in that place think? Their home is their castle. How dare you disrespect it? You ask first. This is our home. Why? Because there are rules and regulations, right? There's a code of ethics. You know damn well you wouldn't do it. Everybody here, everyone I'm talking to, you know you would never do it. You don't do that at your friend's house. In fact, we've got a code in my, we have a code in my house, right? Roseanne could probably vouch for this. If you've been to my house at least 5 times, we don't argue with you going to the refrigerator. Right? It's like, you've been here before. Okay, go grab a cold one. That's what we'll say immediately. No, you're okay. Because there's a level of respect. You've been here long enough. You visit often. You're almost a member of the family. So we would never stop you from just going in. Now, we used to have a guy named Richard who stayed in our house. And Roseanne's listening now because she's going to be in the chat room screaming about this guy. He stayed with us for about a year. You know what this kid did? He was a young guy. He was 19 years old. But you know what he did one day? One day, he asked, hey, can I cook something to eat? Sure. He went in. He made himself a hamburger, I think, or something like that. Well, sure enough, once we gave him permission, one day he went in there and he cooked up an entire rack of ribs and ate them himself. We bought him, and he ate them, and Roseanne almost flipped her wig, to which I had to say to Richard, are you insane? So when she said that I could fix myself something to eat, but you don't eat all the ribs. Yes, you're a guest in the home. Yes, you could go in the refrigerator, but there is a code, right? Everybody here understands that. And if you don't follow that unwritten rule, as a guest, you don't have any respect. So the only thing that I'm asking folks to do is to have a little bit of respect for the country that you snuck into. If you had snuck into my home or to my compound, I wouldn't want, let's say you snuck into my home on my property and you snuck into my garage and you were living there for weeks. And then every day I walked outside, I saw trash sitting outside the garage with you expecting me to come and just pick it up. And every day you would just, and then it went outside of you just dropping off a bag to you just started dropping trash right outside the doors of the garage, and where I had to keep cleaning up. And you don't think 1 minute I would walk up and say, hey, where's this trash coming from? And then when I find you there, you think I'm going to turn around and just say, oh, you're allowed to stay, but continue to leave a mess in my yard? No. And that's what these people are doing, folks. If you were to walk into their home, illegal or not, you couldn't just walk in and just start taking stuff. You couldn't just start eating off their plates. You couldn't. Because those things are basic respect for the rules. And guess what? That rule is universal. It's almost like music. It's a universal language. You wouldn't do it in Russia. You wouldn't do it in Pakistan. You wouldn't do it in Yemen. Anywhere you wouldn't think of doing it. Because it's human decency and it's respect. You guys know that to be true. Roland?
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's just like when I was growing up, you knew if one of your friends' parents took you out to Wendy's or Burger King and they said, hey, get what you want. You knew you really couldn't get what you want.
Exactly.
You better not order a combo meal that's $12. So get
you
what
be
you
very
want.
Modest.
Get what you want. That meant I'll get a rodeo burger. That's $1.
Yeah.
A fry. That's $1. And a drink. That's $1. That's $3.
Right. You never overextend. You just know. There's a modicum of respect.
It doesn't matter. You're giving them a courtesy.
Exactly.
Like, I appreciate this. I'm going to get the least thing that hurt your pockets.
Exactly. It's funny because we go out to dinner. It's the same deal. Let's get a check of weather and traffic. Mark Christopher, he's in the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. How we doing, sir?
The Odyssey app lets you jump back to the moments you missed from WTIC News Talk 1080. Download the free Odyssey app, search WTIC News Talk 1080, and tap earlier today to get started.
I'm doing something I know that I shouldn't do, but I'm not going to say it out loud. I'll deal with it another time. On tomorrow's program, there's another guy named Dr. Death. If you haven't heard about him, we'll talk about him tomorrow on the program. Make sure you check that out. Also, socialism. I found something weird about what these socialists of America are asking for. The two are never talked about or ever explained to me. So hopefully we can. Maybe we should bring that socialist kid back. The kid who just won an election recently. Maybe we'll get him back on the program. We'll talk about that. Always, by the way, remember, download the show by going to WTIC.com. That's WTIC.com. Search for Reese on the Radio on the podcast. Or you can go to ReeseOnTheRadio.com. That's REESE on the radio.com. Please follow us on social media, Facebook, X, and on YouTube. We're just trying to grow the channel because it's important that the folks here know that you listen to the show. That's how I stay employed. I don't want you guys waking up one day and be like, what happened to Reese? Well, it's because you didn't support. So your support is needed, and we respect it, and we ask for it. So I'm not shy about that. So make sure you go to ReeseOnTheRadio.com or WTIC.com. Show us that you enjoy the show and like coming back. Just check out the show, maybe on your drive, running your errands. Also, I want to give a shout-out to somebody. Roland, I totally forgot to do this earlier because you sent it to me. See if I can find it real quick. The young man's name was Dave. Dave says that he listens during his drives in the afternoon, and his quote says, let me read this here, says that my logic is second to none. Dave, the check's in the mail. just so you know, check is in the mail as well. Craig in the car says, as a guest, you can eat from my fridge, just don't drink from the bottle. Yeah, that's way too, like you, no. Can I tell you something? Roseanne would not share a beverage with me when we first got together. Like if we only had like one bottle of water and it was hot, and I would ask her, I was like, hey, let me get a drink of your water. She'd be like, no. Like, what? I was like, we make out. What are you talking about? She's like, no, I don't share drinks. So she trained me well. By the way, I didn't know she was doing it. Whoa, you women are crafty, I have to say. Boy, are you crafty. My mom did that to me, too. It's also the reason why I never go in a woman's purse. My mom trained me that way. She goes, never go in my purse. I can have a snake in there. And now I'm grown. I know that she doesn't have a snake in there. I know no woman has a snake in her purse, but I won't open a woman's purse. If my wife tells me, oh, can you go in my purse? I will grab the purse and bring it to her, just like I did with my mom. But she trained me. When she said that whole thing about, she wouldn't share a beverage with me, which, again, was kind of off-putting. Now I will not drink anything. Like, that's hers. I won't even take it. Nope, I'll get my own. Oh, crafty are you, Roseanne. So crafty. You got me. Little do I know, they're training us. I told everybody she's got me like a seal. She's definitely got me figured out. Let's take a break. Let's get to weather and traffic. Mark Christopher, he's in the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. Hey, Mark.
What's up, everybody? You know who it is.
You know who it is. You know who it is.
It's Reese on the radio. Frederick Douglass of the 21st century.
It's WTIC News Talk 1080.
All right, hopefully I'll be back to normal tomorrow. I'm going to do a whole lot. I bought a whole thing of lemon juice, and I drank tea yesterday. I don't know how people do that, but I'm working. I'm feeling better already, just so everybody knows. Although I'm a leaky faucet as far as my nasal passage goes. I mean, like, it's annoying. So I don't think, like I tell people, I never ever stay like sort of under the weather. I hate that term, but I never stay under the weather for too long. It never ever lasts. And I think it's because I ate dirt as a child. I know it is. I drank from the water, the water hose. I know it's because my immune system is intact. Of course, I'm going to get sick now and again, exposed to the elements. It's incredibly cold out there. And my bones are old. These old bones, I'm so glad. All the people out there who have diabetes, arthritis, osteoporosis, whatever it is you got, I just want to applaud you. I'll tell you this, Roland, you don't know this about me since, we're learning new things about Reese on the radio, about selling shoes and stuff like that. Did I ever tell you about, no, I had to have told this story before. Maybe I haven't told it in a long time. When I first got here, I know I told the story. So one day I went to go see an eye doctor. And, of course, I wear contacts. I've always needed to see. I used to have a lazy eye as a kid. And I had to wear a patch growing up. It was always a problem. And they blamed it on a million different things. A car accident when I had it when I was a child, all this other stuff. It was like my eye was out of whack because of it, just everything. Anyway, so I got older, and I want to say roughly about maybe 40-something years old. I go to this one eye doctor, and we're sitting, and he's talking about the vision in my left eye, which is clearly poorer than my right eye. My right eye is my good eye. My left eye, forget about it, shot. And my left eye is so bad, I have no depth perception in my left eye. So if I lost my right eye, I could not, reach something to know exactly where it is. I don't have that ability. So it's very important that I'm very protective of my eyes. But anyway, so we're sitting there, and he's explaining to me the deal with my eyes. And he says to me, I'll never forget it. He calls it some sort of ocular, whatever the case is. And I said, how did I get this? Do you know how something like that happens? And he goes, well, it actually isn't something. It's kind of like something you've experienced since birth. And I stop him and I go, are you telling me I have a birth defect? And he goes, yeah. And I go, oh, I'm so happy. I have a birth defect. So he looks at me and he goes, I've never had that reaction ever in this room. You're happy that you have a birth defect? And I said, because growing up, everybody I knew had one. I had a kid named Derek. When I was younger, it's a different Derek. But when he walked, he had to touch the ground. Periodically, we'd be walking down the street and he would bend down and touch the asphalt. Weirdly enough, he just did. It was weird. Like an animal. It's weird. And I've had everybody I've ever known has had some sort of defect. James Montgomery. He was an asthma addict. Yes, I know it's asthmatic, but I've always called him an asthma addict. People say, he's not addicted to asthma. I go, yes, he is. So I've always called him an asthma addict. Anyway, so everybody I know has always had something. I never knew that I had one. I had a friend who was allergic to penicillin. Everybody I knew had something. And then he told me, you have a birth defect. And I said, I'm normal. I'm finally happy that I'm normal. So I just figured I'd share that. So when I get sick, it's the one thing that I never understand. I get sick for a little while. I'll get like a cold shiver. It lasts 24 hours, and I'm back to normal. I never, ever stay sick. And I thank my lucky stars. I do. I'm very, very happy that I know when I get really, really old, it's going to be, forget about it. It's like, I can't shake this thing. Probably last for a week. That's probably what's going to happen. White Mike is calling from Florida. How we doing, sir?
Oh, man. Dude, I'm so just frustrated with these stupid conservatives and these stupid liberals fighting over this gun issue with this Bolshevik who got smoked in Minnesota.
Okay. Where is the divide between conservatives and liberals where they're meeting some sort of adjutant when it comes to you?
Well, first I have Pam Bundy and Kristi Noem and Gash Patel coming out and saying, oh, you cannot bring a gun to a protest. Well, and then I have the liberals saying he had every right to go interfere and help his friend.
Oh, goodness
gracious.
And
they're both wrong.
That's right.
Wrong.
They're 100% right. Both of them are wrong.
You can 100% have a firearm on you at a protest.
Clearly.
But this guy was not he's not a passerby.
No, he's not.
This was a communist agitator.
Absolutely. And we know that because I just confirmed that this guy inside the Signal chat was clearly an operative.
His parents, I guess, have stated that he quit his job a month ago. He hadn't been ICU nurse for a month.
I haven't. I didn't report that yet. I'm just going to say that is speculation as of so far. But I did hear that story. I'm still working the background on that.
Well, look, God dang it! Look, and the Democrats, oh, you can do that. No, you can have a gun on you all the time at a protest.
Absolutely.
You cannot run up on federal agents and get involved because you're trying to help. Because you don't get to help against federal agents.
That's right.
That's not your job. I've carried a gun for 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an expert at this stuff. I've taken dozens of classes. I know what I'm talking about. The first thing they tell you when you go to your first class is they say, this gun does not give you any special powers.
That's right.
You're just a person. But yes, this guy's a communist. And he's a communist, dude. Let's be real. This whole thing in Minneapolis is being run by the Freedom Road Socialist Organization.
That's right.
They're literally marching in the goddamn street holding a banner that says, hey, we're the communists.
Exactly. And, I was making my point earlier in the show. I said, I was making this argument. It's like people are like, they're not talking about it on the news. And I said, you have to get over the fact that the news isn't talking about it because then they would have to admit the scary truth is that the people who are organizing this are people outside of the country and inside the country who wish to overthrow this government, which throws the January 6th nonsense right out the window.
There's a YouTuber who's really into this. Her name is Dr. Karlin Borchenko.
Okay. I think I know who she is.
Yeah, she's gone undercover and infiltrated Antifa and the leftists, and she says the Republicans or the right are looking at these people like, oh, they're just a bunch of, blue-haired lesbians and weirdo trannies. And no, these people are organized and motivated.
That's I wish you were here. I wish you were here at the beginning of the show. I was reading about the guy who I think he works special ops and was talking about the Cam Higbee's investigation. Exactly. The guy who was laying down that this is exactly the kind of stuff that he was working against overseas.
And now let me be a student of history. In 1920s Germany, the communists were tearing things up. They were everywhere. They infiltrated all aspects of society. You had communists, and the people who tend to be communists were running all the vice in the city. They were staging strikes. They were having fights in the streets. And the reaction to the communists showing up and causing trouble was what, Reese? What happened?
They acquiesced. They just
No. Who showed up to counter the communists?
Oh, well, that was the Nazis.
Do you think it's going to happen the same way here? It always happens. It's cyclical. Gen Z is pissed. These Gen Z guys are done. You're going to see a right-wing reaction to these communists because that's what happens.
Yeah, I said this.
People nip the bud.
You're making a case that I made about 10 years ago that people did not pay attention to it. And I saw it with what was concerned, like when people were starting to talk about what was called the rise of the alt-right. When we started using that term, that coin of phrase, and I said that was a natural reaction to the alt-left that was already becoming radicalized and well-financed, that there was going to be this sort of counter to that because it happens throughout history. You cannot, it's a meet fire with fire kind of, scenario. It happens throughout history because you can't meet that with, it's the reason why we can't win wars or land war in Asia, as they say, because we keep going in there thinking that we can come in there with diplomacy. It never works. We have to be like them.
And come on, man. I know you've seen the story going around of how MSNBC or MS Now showed an AI-altered photo of this Alex Pretti.
I know. Because he was too ugly.
What was the alteration of the photo? Be honest. Why'd they alter his photo?
They made him dark, and they wanted to make him look more, I guess, I don't know, attractive?
Dude, they made him look less Jewish.
Be
honest. They desemitized him.
Yes, I will say, that was 100% true.
They don't need this guy who looks like he would have been storming the Tsar's palace in Imperial Russia being the face of this movement. This guy looks like the happy merchant meme rubbing his hands together.
Yeah, you know what? Scary. Scary as it. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
He looks like Watto from the Phantom Menace had a baby with a J.K. Rowling goblin.
It's so true because MSNBC is notorious for this, just like the 12-year-old photo of Trayvon. That's it's always the makeup. It's always the sort of go-to.
Dude, people in middle America who have never seen what a Jew looks like saw that and said, is that a demon? He looks like a Harry Potter goblin.
And now we know, bottom line, is that this guy, according to what we are finding out, especially from that signal chat that's going on, this guy was full-throated Marxist. Yeah. He was
He's a Bolshevik.
Yeah, without a doubt. Without a doubt. And that's, here's the part. Hold on. I want to make this point very, very clear because I know that you obviously, figured this out as well. I was talking to somebody, this guy Ray who called up earlier, and I was saying to him, we know now that a week ago this guy had a confrontation with ICE agents that resulted in him bruising or breaking a rib. When they corralled him a week before he died, they found no gun. So he shows back up, and this time he's got a gun on him, which again should ring alarm bells that he had every intent of using it.
And just in closing, you notice that when the angry lesbian got shot, the government's like, no big deal.
Yeah.
But when this dude gets shot, it's like, oh, we got to calm things down so you can apparently shoot a dyke. But
you said that yesterday, and I said, I'm not there yet. But guess what? Again, everybody's going to be caught flat-footed because the more and more we learn about this guy, the less attractive. You can't say that word. Get out of here. Goodbye. He says it just to be a pain in my behind. Just to be a pain in my behind. Can I take one more? Let's go to Gary in Southington. Hello, Gary.
Hey, Reese.
Yes, sir.
So, I want to make a couple points, historical points. First, I just want to counter what that caller just said. I know this is a fashionable thing that the left, I don't think he's on the left, but Hitler was not a conservative. He was not right-wing.
No.
First of all, what did they call themselves? The Socialist Party.
Right. But they never practiced a bit of socialism, by the way.
Well, actually they did. They controlled everything.
Oh, no, that they did, but they didn't practice socialism. That was just a ruse.
Well, in the beginning he did because he came in. The reason why he came to power, one of the reasons, is because Germany's economy was real bad.
Yes, it was.
So he promised all this stuff. We're going to have jobs. We're going to have this and that.
Indeed.
So that was the biggest. That was one of the biggest ways he came into power.
Indeed.
But there's different forms of socialism. He was a state socialist. Now, the people that were in his party originally probably were right-wing, but, that soon changed. And the reason why he hated communism, the communists from Russia, it wasn't because he hated communism. It's because he hated Russia. because he hated Stalin.
That's right.
They were actually his biggest trade. I know people don't know this, that Russia was his biggest trading partners before the war.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that you can look that up. But I want to give you some kind of funny historical fact. So we know that the Ayatollah kicked the Shah out with the help of Jimmy Carter.
Correct.
And we know what's happened since. Did you know that before the Shah was disposed, that you know who started to help the Islamists come up against the Shah? Was the communists in Iran. It was the communists. And what happened was after the Shah, the Ayatollah got full power, what did he do? He killed all the communists.
That's always what they do.
Yeah, but that should be taught here.
Oh, yeah.
That should be taught here, you fool.
It is what I've always described as the useful idiots, and that's the thing about these bozos that don't understand that once they get the power that they think that they are going to reap the fruits from, they're the first ones to be deposed. That's exactly what's going to happen.
Did you ever wonder, like, how does the left think that Islam is all the rage? They're a complete opposite of everything you believe in. They hate Christianity, right? The left absolutely hates the church, but they think Islam is wonderful.
Because again, it's the cognitive dissonance, as it were. Thank you, Gary. I got to get up out of here, sir. Thank you. As I always say, radio is free, so we thank you for paying attention. Remember to keep JC in your hearts and in your mind. Sean Patrick, we love you and we miss you. Remember that panic is not planning, so plan your work and work your plan. Me, I'm Reese on the radio. You have a good night, pleasant tomorrow. Mark Christopher is getting you home. Please pay attention to his traffic. Okay, he is in the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. Good night to all of you and be well. Good night, Mark.